It is your PrisonPlanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here on this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. This is an absolute maximum red alert. The global governance operation is going into high gear, and my analysis of the last few years that the globalists want to start a civil war in the United States is now moving into DEFCON 1 zone. Unfortunately, I've got to give you the bad news here. As of now, the foreign banks that have occupied the United States realize they're losing control, realize that Obama really lost the election, realize that their world government is in trouble and crumbling, and these enemies flee forward. And so they're going ahead with their go-for-broke nuclear option politically to go for a full-bore gun confiscation, saying that the guns are illegal and raiding selective gun owners and arresting them, burning down their houses, having SWAT teams kill them, basically open season on gun owners. That will then invoke a massive response, guaranteed. You will see huge amounts of police wiped out. You will then see military brought in, and all hell will break loose, and Obama will be the savior, and he will fully take over. They are moving into that zone. This is not hype, and I'm risking my life coming on air, even covering something like this. This is the time. If you're going to roll over to the New World Order, better go ahead and do it. And put your hind end up for them. They mean to have a Stalinistic takeover in this country and to fully break this nation. We're not just going to get austerity and bankruptcy and shutdown of our economy and hospitals shutting down like Greece or Spain or other areas. The globalists plan to absolutely hammer this country, shutting everything off. You think they got double the people on food stamps the last 4 years? That was just the beginning. And they're in their isolated command centers. They believe this is their pretext. The entire Homeland Security system was always set up for gun owners, libertarians, conservatives, constitutionalists. In fact, guys, will you print me mainstream articles about Army says Tea Party, their new enemy? That's Washington Times. We actually broke it off the Army manual, but I wanted to show Washington Times. And then will you also print me returning veterans listed as #1 DHS threat? That's from 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. I want to just show new listeners, new viewers, those articles. You have to understand, I've watched this system build for 20 years, 17 years on air. And I've watched it go from an embryonic phase to skeletal form, to the organs, to the muscles, to the skin. And now it's there. And people say, well, they'll never get our guns. Cold dead hand. That's the whole plan. And it's a foolproof plan to cause a revolution, because even if 99% of gun owners turn their weapons in, you're going to have 1.5 million that aren't. Conservatively, that's 1% of gun owners. That's a conservative estimate. And that's you're going to be your terrorist force. The media now says gun owners are terrorists. And it's also supposed to be along racial lines. You notice MSNBC, CNN, Michael Moore today, he said, look, white people, turn in your guns. And you're like, why are you invoking race? That's the whole plan. Is the government is going to try to invoke race where you're a racist if you don't accept collectivism. And we've all heard this talking point now from collectivists, a lot of them that operated as alternative media people, you name it. You're seeing them uncloak right now. Mainstream media, you name it. They're suddenly saying, if you don't accept collectivism and communism, you are a racist. You're like, what does that have to do with race? Well, you're a racist. Shut up, racist. We're going to get you racist. We're going to arrest you racist. And this is the new paradigm. We're entering the end of the republic. If you are going to evacuate, you better do it quickly. We'll be right back. Stay with us. It is December 27th, 2012. On this Thursday edition, we are live. I was intending to take the day off. I'd promised my children that I was going to take off the entire week because I haven't done that in several years. But I ended up working basically the last 3 days. And I ended up coming into the office yesterday. I'm not complaining about that. That should just give you an idea of the fact that for the first time in my life, I'm losing sleep. For the first time in my life, I am having to battle the instinct to evacuate this country immediately. I mean, I'm having to battle it hard, like holding down a bucking horse, because I am a person that cares about liberty, cares about our republic, but at the same time, I am a selfish person, and I also care about my wife and my children. But my family has been in the United States since the time of the Mayflower, on both sides of my family, and on both sides of my family in the founding of Texas, and I have deep roots in this republic and had a lot of illustrious ancestors that were in the Revolutionary War. And I have chosen the course of facing the technocratic authoritarian takeover that is now happening in the United States. We are in grave danger, all of us. If you look at the full spectrum of analysis and information, if you look at how the Republicans, bought and paid for by the same foreign banks, are going along with socialist government-run health care, they're signaling they're going to go along with outright gun confiscations. It's all happening. And the entire narrative, all the different pieces of the puzzle we have, are now put together. And our worst fears, our worst case scenario analyses is what has basically popped out of the electrochemical computer. Right now, the globalist, the foreign six banks that control this country and that are crushing and squeezing Europe and using our wealth to build the world government, the eugenics-based, tyranny-based, scientific, oppression-based system, they are openly going ahead with a program to publicly demonize all gun owners as terrorists, as racist, and as mass murderers and lobbyists for mass murderers. You notice these quotes I'm giving you are all out of the news. And they are now openly saying, you bet we're going to come get your guns, and we hope you don't turn them in. We're going to lock you up. I have the stacks of articles here. We're going to be going over them. And there is a wild-eyedness to the collectivist minions who've been given very small portions of the loot stolen by the foreign megabanks. And their identity, the general welfare class, is tied up in the nanny state. And they know it's tyrannical. They actually like it. They enjoy living vicariously through that evil. And most states are now totally federally controlled. We've passed the Rubicon. I've got some numbers here where many states now have more government employees than even private sector. They have domesticated us. They have brought in 30 million illegal aliens who have now racially identified with confiscating guns and collectivism. They are now saying, if you don't accept collectivism and French-style 80+% taxes, you are a terrorist, you are a racist. And I actually have the news articles here. Now, if you look at the DHS manuals that we broke almost 4 years ago, that federal marshals, FBI, and state police and others sent us, they were so shocking at the time that even Ron Paul's office, when they were contacted by the Associated Press, said, well, we know Alex Jones, we think he's a good guy, but we don't believe that's real. Chuck Baldwin, for a day, didn't believe it was real, even though it had phone numbers on it, and even though I presented a federally written state police report in Missouri and a federally issued master report. It took about 3-4 days before Homeland Security said, yeah, those are real and those are restricted. You're not supposed to have those. And it said, the terrorist threat is gun owners, conservatives, libertarians, in the fetters, but number one, returning veterans. Now, since then, they've come out and defended those reports and said, indeed, that is the enemy. So I knew that. That's just one little piece of the puzzle. There's hundreds here, and if I went over them all, it would take all 3 hours. But you as regular listeners, you know those pieces, and you know the pieces you've seen in your daily life, what you've witnessed, the attitude, the bearing of government. The Army manuals changed to about how to round us up and put us in camps. Army manuals on gun confiscation. You guys just put one of the manuals up. If people are watching on prisonplanet.tv, let me give people that manual number. Please put it up. And this is army.mil. They're very, very proud of this. Internment Resettlement Operations, FM 3-39.40. How to process you with your Social Security numbers, how to lock down the cities, how to go on grid patterns through the cities and take the firearms. How to round up the political dissidents who do not agree with the collectivist model, and how to process us into the higher security facilities. Our families will be sent for forced labor. By the way, all of the little collectivists can't wait to march us around at the end of machine guns. They're all going to have guns. You understand, they're all going to have our guns that we turn in. This has repeated itself over and over again. You see, if you've studied the Nazis, if you studied the Soviets, the Communist Chinese, the Cuban Communist, the Pol Pot, Khmer Rouge in Cambodia, if you've studied these people, this is a list. This is a program, a blueprint, an operation. And it follows an exact program. It's called a program. And they want to do to us what they did to Russia in 1917, and God help us, it's going to be rough. And again, look at how bold the globalists are, how they use al-Qaeda against Libya and Syria while telling us we need to give up our liberties because of al-Qaeda threats. That's how bold they are, how dumb they think you are, how much control they think they're in. David Gregory has armed guards for his children, NBC host. Michael Moore does. All of them do, but they say you can't have guns to protect yourself and your children. They can't have anybody armed at the school to protect them, while they advertise schools as the place for unstable people who in every case get the guns illegally. The latest firefighter shooter, convicted con with a hammer, killed his grandma, went and stole guns. If you even believe the story, same thing. Guy tried to buy guns, not once, not twice, not 3 times, 5 times in Connecticut. If you even believe the official story. But that's never mentioned, is it? The point is, when you have something sitting right in front of your face, and you know the government's putting armored vehicles in every city and even treaded tanks, and is spying on you without warrants, and setting up checkpoints, and having school children spy on their parents nationwide, and engaging in forced inoculations that are totally illegal. They're going for broke. They're committed. And they've already pulled the bombardier switch and dropped the bomb. It just hasn't fully hit yet. Incoming, ladies and gentlemen, is what we're talking about here. They've pulled the trigger. They've dropped the hammer. The balloon already went up. God help us. God help us. Now, there's the article about it. Army admits re-education camp manual not intended for public release. Just amazing when you go through it. It mentions how to take over U.S. cities. And again, people say, well, that's too far out. It'll never happen. Sticking your head in the sand won't stop this. Only really getting concerned and calling talk radio and going in and talking to your preacher and going in and talking to the police and doing banner hangs and doing Access TV shows and doing your own YouTube show every day and supporting this broadcast and spreading the word about it and calling Congress and going to their public events like the proto-Tea Party did before the Republicans took it over and gelded it, and getting in their faces, because it's on, ladies and gentlemen. The system is dropping the hammer. And here's what I'm trying to get to here. The magnitude is so incredible, I have trouble even saying it. All of our previous research is now being borne out in triplicate, in spades. The system can't win politically. They've done the actuaries and know within a few more years, constitutionalism and the gun culture and the liberty culture will convert. They even admit that we will win. So they're going to strike now. They are intending, and we have DHS sources on this, unfortunately. And I say unfortunate because this is really, really hard to talk about. They plan on trying a gun confiscation to start a civil war. They're going to list gun owners as terrorists, and they're going to try to use the army against us. We're in deep trouble, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a hot globalist takeover. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to understand there's less than 20 families that own the global crime syndicate, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and just a few others. If they'll kill 1 million Iraqis just to destabilize the Middle East, if they'll put al-Qaeda in multiple countries, they'll do anything. If they'll give over 10,000 missiles to al-Qaeda, who is now using them to try to shoot down Syrian passenger liners, and our media praises it. The globalists think the public is in an absolute coma, but they're not. And the benchmark that the globalists use to mark you as their enemy is if you're a gun owner. They fundamentally, as a mafia, understand that when a mafia comes in to a grocery store and says, hey, we're here to shake you down, put your hands up. You got any weapons in here? Turn them over. Mac. Look where the mafia runs things. In cities like Chicago, New York, other areas. Total gun bans. They've all got guns. They're all armed. America is run by mafia. And the Italians always get thrown under the bus. The media makes it where only mafia is Italian, where we then even use an Italian word for hereditary crime syndicates. Folks, this country is completely run by a syndicate of interlacing corporate mafias that have assassins, that have mercenaries, that have everything. Major corporations, the top Fortune 100, have got mercenary crews with special licenses for grenade launchers and armor-piercing tank rounds. They're all armed. They run the NSA now. Over 80% of it is foreign run. Foreign corporations can just dial right in and listen to your phone. It's all on record. America's gone. And the globalists cannot allow you to be armed before they fully bring us into a depression. I've got congressional sources. I've got Homeland Security sources, and they are saying the exact same thing that the Northeast Intelligence Network, who are working to get on the show, their DHS source is saying. And that's, they want to cause a civil war. They want to get a hot fight going now. That's how they shut off the free internet. That's how they shut down talk radio. That's how they shut us up and arrest political dissidents and enemies, because they can look at the graphs. That wasn't a mandate for Obama. That was a staged election. Staged with Romney, financed by the same people. But then they even stole the election, didn't give it to Puppet Romney, because they wanted to say it was a mandate for collectivism, a mandate for socialism. But when you read Foreign Affairs magazine put out by the CFR, when you read foreign affairs publications put out by the Washington Post, they freak out. And Brzezinski wrote a book this year saying it. That the people are waking up to global corporatism, that the people don't trust government worldwide, that there's a total awakening and the elite are in trouble. When they communicate with each other, they say, we're in deep trouble, mayday, mayday, mayday. But when they come out on the news, they're like, everybody loves big government. Oh, be quiet, white people, and turn your guns in. Here's Michael Moore in CNS News today. Michael Moore, calm down, white people, and put away your guns. And they go on to say, big deal, turn them in, relax. The black people aren't going to get you. See, always invoking race. No, we're talking about the corrupt government getting us. We know what happens when you take the guns. People aren't stupid. That's why the previous record was 5 million guns sold in 1 month. They're now saying it might be 10 million in the month of December. And that's just what the scum government knows about. Folks, most people bought guns privately. You're not getting them. And a lot of people, man, let me just warn the police and military something. You are meant to be destroyed in all this. I know you're not stupid. I mean, you understand this. If you go along with this, it is meant to cause massive attrition in your numbers, so you will then accept the NATO forces that are on record standing by to come in NLEO 9 through NLEO 11, national level exercises, and Washington Post, AP, Reuters, all reporting, oh yeah, foreign troops are going to help fight American terrorists during insurrection. That's mainstream news over and over again. Look it up. This isn't fables. This isn't rumors. The lazy public just hears it, and then it becomes a rumor, and the media says, oh, the hillbillies think the UN's coming for them. Really? Have you looked at the New York Times? Scouts trained to fight terrorists and more. 3 years ago, first line in it says they trained to confiscate guns from veterans. I've got footage from 1998 in Hebron, Maryland, with Boy Scouts doing a drill to rat out their mommy and their daddy. Police Day 2000. Key intel. This is bigger than Obama. This has been a long-term operation. And the plan is to wipe out the police and military if they pull this off. The police and military are the globalist biggest enemy. That's why their own internal reports say the veterans are the biggest enemy. They want to wipe them out. Stay with us. It's a trap. I don't bear any ill will towards police and the military. I know most of them got into it because of financial reasons or because of family history. Most people actually want to be helpful in their communities. I know that. In fact, as bad as the police are in this country, I've statistically found them to be more awake than the general public. The military is the only group more awake than the police, and I'd say 3 times more awake, extremely hyper awake. Of course the military's awake. They train to confiscate our guns. They train for civil unrest and takeover. And they hear my show talking about it in the last decade being the only broadcast telling them what they know is already true. And that's the big secret. Is this radio transmission undoubtedly is the most popular in the U.S. Armed Forces worldwide. I have talked to countless active duty officers, enlisted. Well, you've heard the callers from all over the world where everyone they know, every unit they know, domestic bases, foreign bases, their officers come in and say, I've been told to tell you not to listen to Alex Jones and Infowars.com, and they wink at them. Our military is made up of some incredibly good people. Even though they've been sent on globalist missions, they've been given false reasons for what they've done, false cover stories. They still served by and large because they were honorable people. And they also live in the real world where you get lined up and given experimental shots, where you serve 2, 3, 4 tours and get your foot blown off and they stick a peg leg on you and make you go back into combat. You know, that's going on. Where they give you PTSD when you collapse from heat exhaustion. After, in some cases, going 14 days straight doing mission after mission. They know the government's a pack of lying crooks. They know the high-level officers are globalist traitors. They know the government's growing the opium and shipping it out to America and Europe. They know our government runs al-Qaeda and the Taliban. That came out months after 9/11, all over the press, where colonels and people would come back and say, we had the top Taliban general and were ordered to release him and give him gold and fly him out to Pakistan to destabilize their country. It's amazing, ladies and gentlemen, when you realize the globalist master plan They get the Shiites and the Sunnis to kill each other in Iraq and in Libya and in Syria. And they bring in al-Qaeda to get it started. And they plan on playing black off against white and Hispanic off against white, with the government as the arbiter and as the referee. It's all divide and conquer. It's all British great game. That's what the British call it, great game. The great game, balkanization, divide and conquer. They learned it from the Romans. They were a Roman colony. Albion, Britannia. And it's being repeated again. And America is slated for absolute re-education. Just like they imploded us in the Depression to get us onto government control with Social Security, that was all engineered. That was just 1/100th of what we're going to witness. This is the big re-education. The globalists took their time using America to build their world government while demonizing our name that was so loved worldwide, while at the same time putting us into debt, undermining our foundations coldly, calculatedly, a guild of psychopathic criminals. When you look at Governor Cuomo or you look at Senator Feinstein, when you look in their eyes, I mean, I've met psychopaths and criminals in my life. The fake smile, the eyes illuminated with predatory desire. I know that look. They're psychopaths. They're not just sociopaths. I took my children to the Austin Zoo yesterday. I hadn't been there in years. It's amazing. Better than the San Antonio Zoo. And they've got one of the biggest exhibits of tigers in the country because it's a rescue zoo. And I just looked into the eyes of those tigers. And it's that same predatory look where you look like a chicken leg to them. And they had a bunch of wolves, rescue wolves, 6 of them, right next to the tiger cages. And there were the wolves, and they had a large, open field area for themselves, about 30 feet by one fence from the Bengal tiger. And that Bengal tiger would come over and would spray. He'd spray urine, 10 feet at the wolves. And the wolves would sit there and just, and then the wolves would get up and howl. You know what that is? That was calling in reinforcements. Even though there were only 6 of them in there, the instinctive fights with big cats, bears, things like that, they had that instinct of there's the threat, there's the tiger. Don't Americans have the instinct to look at these criminal people in government and how predatory they are? A dog knows when somebody comes in your house. In my life, the few people that I've seen dogs growl at and not like my sweet dogs have turned out to be horrible people. Your dog knows scum when it sees it, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I'd have caught video of that Bengal tiger and wolves. I may go back in the next few days over there because it was getting dark. They were about to close, and this was all going on, and my iPhone died. I got a little bit of it. And that tiger roaring at those wolves, and those 6 wolves lined up, looking through the fence at the Bengal tiger. If we had the sense of wolves. But I guess they say a wolf has incredible sense. Why am I trying to ascribe wisdom to humans? Doesn't take much wisdom, though, when you see a 2,000-pound or whatever it was, giant Bengal tiger spraying urine in the faces of those wolves, skyrocketing and attempting to get it, the however many feet it was across to their pen. And to just watch how Michael Moore and all these people do the same thing in our faces. That's what they are. They're dominating us. That's what the TSA is, dragging your kids and your wife off to be groped in public, have their pants pulled down in front of people, making old women get up. Now, in TSA, whistleblowers have gone public. And admitted what we already knew, because it's come out 3 or 4 times before, even in lawsuits, that they save the naked images and they make fun of men's genitals, never getting tired of it, because they have no dignity of themselves. Why should they give you dignity? And fantasizing about good-looking women. I mean, I've seen it. When they see a good-looking woman, they run over like wolves or like hyenas, and they drag her in. And sometimes they ask them out for dates, and sometimes they plant drugs on them and threaten them for sex, or they'll send them to prison, or Other times they come up with a naked print off and say, sign this. Or if it's women TSA, and I've seen them do this to Ventura, laughing, it's the governor, it's Ventura, aha, you know, grabbing his genitals, laughing at him. There's the case of movie stars being, you know, people come up with printouts and say, here's your naked body, will you sign it? While the TSA goes, we don't save your images. There's no naked image. There's no radiation. We're your friend. There's nothing these idiots won't, because they're predators, and it's all a big joke to them. Let me get to the meat and potatoes on this and go over the news here, and then we'll give the phone number out and take your calls the next hour for military and police, as we do occasionally. The globalists hate the gun culture because, as dumbed down as the public is, people get that when government tries to take your guns, it wants to enslave you and it can take everything else. People get a free man has arms, a free woman has arms. People now know crime is lowered everywhere. As you get more guns and more concealed carry, crime rates plummet. Conversely, areas that take guns, crime rates go up, whether it's Australia, whether it's England, whether it's Scotland, whether it's Canada. And the FBI crime statistics are there. Massive crime dropping. Just like support for abortion has gone from almost 70% for it in 1973 to more than 70% in most polls against it today. If you look at every real issue, America is becoming more pro-life, more liberty. America is becoming libertarian to the point of saying, hey, gays, get married if you want to. That's the one issue they can use and say, hey, Republicans, this makes people think you're behind the times. Whatever your issue is, whatever your point is on that, it's used as a political football. But America is becoming libertarian and becoming constitutional, becoming Thomas Jeffersonian. That's what's, you read Thomas Jefferson? That's what everybody wants. That's what makes sense. That's what makes you wealthy and successful. That's the animating contest of liberty. That's what everybody deep down likes. I don't care what color, what religion, where you're from. Deep down, that's what feels good. That's what feels right. You do what you want to your body, but don't you try to push it on me. So there's a fake liberalism where they push all these things on you. You see, there's that agenda. That's not liberty. That's a cultural tyranny as well. Just as the mullahs can be a cultural tyranny in Iran, or Al-Qaeda now taking over Syria, setting up the religious enforcement, that can be a tyranny. There's 100+ flavors of cultural tyranny, and I reject them all. So here's the big message, and here's what I want to get across to you, and then go over the exhibits here, because it's bad. Dianne Feinstein, I'm going to show you some of these articles here in a moment, right here in the document cam area. The globalists are coming out and saying, hey, we just want reasonable gun control. I've told you for years that's their new spin. In the past, they said you don't have a right to own guns. The Second Amendment doesn't say it. Well, we proved historically that wasn't true. So they said, you know what? You've got a right to own guns. You got a right to turn them into us. On a blue moon, if 5 Keebler elves cross their fingers on top Mount Vesuvius in the twilight every 17 billion years, you can have a gun. Okay? And so she's come out, and I've got her public letters here, and I've got a bunch of other, and then this is what Obama says he's going to support, and she's part of the task force, where they act deliberative. They say, we're going to, and she goes, to guarantee your rights. That's the funniest part. To protect legitimate hunters and the right of existing gun owners, 900 firearms are banned from sale, distribution, you name it, and anyone allowed to keep them will have to go to the local police department and be fingerprinted and registered and then authorized by the ATF. So it's basically like when you go do the background check and get the stamp and go through all the stuff to get a full auto. It turns it into a privilege. This is how they did it in England, in Australia. Then they just say, now turn those guns in. But she's also saying, but we're also just going to say we're going to ban many guns This is just 900 where you've got to come register them and be fingerprinted. Kurt Nemo's doing a story on it right now. But with a bunch of other guns they're going to list, just giving themselves the executive fiat power, and they're calling for Obama to do an executive order, you'll come turn your gun in, and then they'll just pay you money for it. And then what they're planning, and they're telling police this everywhere, they've already done this in New York and other areas. You always hear about the old veteran who has the heart attack and cancer and doesn't go and get their 4-year card in Illinois. And 2 days after it expires, the state police SWAT team hits the guy's house, drag him out, throw the guy in prison, they die in prison. And they're real lazy. They sit there looking at the list. Okay, that's an old man. He'll be easy to deal with. Yeah, he's been in the hospital. Yeah, he's on death's doorstep. Let's go arrest him. And they go with the news cameras and drag out a guy on a stretcher and then take him to prison to die. And then take their guns. And I even saw a Discovery Channel show once where a veteran had died in his house in L.A. and had legal, lawful rifles. And he had an NRA sticker on his car. I played this clip about 10 years ago on air. It was called Inside the LAPD. And they go, look at this scum. Look at this filth. He's got an NRA sticker. The cops say this. And they walk into the guy's house and they stand around and make fun of his dead body. And say, man, that gun owner stinks, and then laugh at him. And then the police say, I'm going to keep this one, I'm going to keep that one, and steal his guns on national television. And again, you're like, well, that's crazy. No, it's not. That's psych warfare to break your will. Veterans are scum. Veterans are trash, according to them. His dead body, he's pathetic, he's gross, and we're going to keep his guns. They were already 10 years ago teaching veterans were the real terrorists. They've just gone public now because they're getting ready to go operational. Let me show you some of these articles I have here. United States Senator Dianne Feinstein, right there, she says, you'll come in and get fingerprinted and have your guns registered. Those they allow you to keep. Okay? Go read it. Here's another one. New York governor, gun confiscation, forced buyback an option. That's last week. Kurt Nemo, thank God, DrudgeReport.com put it out because then it forced Town Hall, Ammo Land, and others to actually go look. At first, they didn't believe it because I saw the articles last Friday. But then they went and looked and said it's worse than InfoWars says. They found the letters Feinstein said, yeah, we're going to physically make you turn your guns in. Okay? So there's Ammo Land. Feinstein and Como admit planning Australian-style forced government gun buyback. Okay, there you go. Here's, because since I mentioned this, here's the Hill. House Dems, Tea Party is the real enemy. Examiner, Army Colonel ignites firestorm with article, well, it's Army War College, on crushing a Tea Party insurgency. Here is Forbes.com, how the U.S. military would crush a Tea Party rebellion. Of course, we first broke this, but they all picked it up. Just giving my researchers props. Dem reps, the real enemy is the Tea Party. Fox News. Sikh shooting ties DHS veterans as terrorist narrative. Napolitano stands by controversial report. Washington Times saying returning veterans are the #1 terrorist. Alert, DHS rounding up veterans, throwing them in mental institutions. Infowars.com. And that's also what they're announcing. No judge, no jury. They're going to just come out and arrest veterans by the hundreds of thousands. This is being set up and announced. And then what's going to happen? Well, they know a large percentage, not a majority, but because some of it's talk, a lot of vets are going to go Rambo, for lack of a better term, when this starts. And I would not want to be the police at that time. And again, that's going to help the globalist. The last thing I want is a bunch of cops getting shot. But let me tell you, they're going to go and raid gun owners. They're already announcing this. Heavy enforcement, taking legal guns. Vets are going to get mad. They're going to go out and do things that they probably shouldn't just to dumb down globalist minions. And then the Civil War is going to start, and that's the plan. Then Obama can pose as savior, ride in, declare all the guns taken, bring in the army, then the real Civil War starts. So the globalist plan on prosecuting an overt but also covert, low-intensity conflict, special forces-style operation against gun owners to stir up gun owners into an active response. Of course, the police won't be told this. They won't be told 2 + 2 = 4. That's why we're here giving you the rest of the story, as if a lot of you didn't already figure it out for yourself. I'm beyond angry at this point. I'm very sad. And I'm kind of just committing myself to God, like George Washington and so many of our founders did. It's also reassuring in a way to know I've always been right. That the course of my research and God's hand on my life and the discernment I've been given has been given to me for a reason. And those of you that are awake out there, you've been awoken in your life for a reason. And we're going to make it through this. This will not go like Nazi Germany or the Soviet Union. And we will be able to, whatever comes out of this, defeat the globalist collaborators. Because the people in our media, in our government that go along with this horrible balkanization plan, civil war plan, they are collaborators, just like the Vichy French with the Nazis. And by the way, I've only covered a few of the reasons I know they're trying to start a civil war in this country and will probably blow up some federal buildings and stage some more mass shootings as a pretext to paint the American people as terrorists. I mean, you notice they're using these shootings and saying gun owners are terrorists, gun owners are racist. And you're like, man, that's outrageous. Well, no, it's not. They're now illuminating you, like lasing you for an airstrike, basically, politically, that there's the bad guy. You see, they demonize you and destroy your name and assassinate your character before they physically come after you. And so if you're awake and informed, you're like, why are you saying this about us? You don't get it. And I got to say, more and more Sandy Hook does look like it was staged. Bare minimum, this guy was under psychiatric care. They were getting ready to commit him. They're keeping all that stuff sealed. Another wind-up toy they turn loose. Very suspicious. The whole thing stinks to high heaven. So did the Batman shooting. And you notice the timing. 2 weeks, 3 weeks before this, I put out the magazine saying they're coming for the guns because they were opening up on us on every front. And I said, get ready, something big's about to happen. I mean, it's not hard to figure this stuff out. It is not hard to figure out what's going on here. And they're telling the police, gun owners, I mean, I've got articles, I haven't even gotten to them yet, where the FBI saying gun owners are terrorists. I mean, I've got it all right here. I haven't even got into the Piers Morgan thing because, quite frankly, that snot-nosed punk doesn't even matter in the final equation. But look at these headlines. Michael Moore's bodyguards arrested on airport gun charge. Michael Moore, calm down, white people, and put away your guns. Police investigate NBC anchor for showing gun clip. These guys all have armed bodyguards. I told you I had Michael Moore's bodyguards in 2004 try to rough me up. They were like hitting me with their elbows when I wasn't even doing anything. I was like 15 feet from Moore. He was going down a city street. So I just like hit the guy back, and the guy was a total wimp. Like, what do you just think? You're going to hit people your whole life? You punch me in the nose, I'm going to punch you back in the nose. Whatever you do to me, I'm going to do to you. I mean, again, these globalists are a bunch of wimps, ladies and gentlemen. And it's time to call their bluff and realize it's the global technocrats that are running all this. And if they're able to manipulate the police and then the military into an open confrontation with us, we failed. We need to be educating them and breaking their conditioning and deprogramming them right now like our lives depend on it. By the way, you know, I talked about this 4 years ago during the last campaign, how they said Obama will be the new Lincoln, the second coming of Lincoln, and they foreshadowed it. And I said, that means they're planning a states' rights battle with him and maybe even martial law. And then now they admit that. Oh, he's going to go Lincoln on you. He's going to arrest you. He's going to arrest people in the media. Hey, Lincoln did it. And Spielberg movie, how great it was that Lincoln suspended the Constitution. I mean, they are really, that's just one more piece of the puzzle. Well, Kurt Nemo's got new articles up at Infowars.com. Obama, own a gun, you're a racist. White House said to ignore Piers Morgan petition. The Bill of Rights is not negotiable. Share this urgent declaration. Mike Adams, great article. Piers Morgan, time for an amendment to the Bible. See, they're going to take everything, folks. I want to just get you used to that. They're not going to just take your guns. They're going to tell you your kids are going to take shots. They're going to get abortions, how big your house can be, and so you can pay more taxes. Firearm confiscation plan announced for America. Very important report I did. I haven't even gotten to this. If you're on this list, you may be in grave danger. They're now putting out list of where gun owners live so that people can rob you. And again, this is the media terrorizing gun owners like you're a sex offender. And I like the fact that internet folks have gone and gotten the newspaper or where all they live and have put out a file on them, and they're all freaking out. Let me tell you something. You did something like that to me, I'm going to sue you for harassment. And I don't care if you even defeat the lawsuit. I'm going to make you pay. Folks, you either get aggressive with these people or they're going to eat our lunch. These murdering terrorists think that they're smarter than us, these anti-gunners. They think they're smarter than us, and they know how to play us off against each other. These people are not liberals. The number one thing you can learn, if you know anything, I know most of you already know this, is that the brain bugs of these people, you know, the higher level ones, and I've been around them, I've read their writings, they see their followers as useless, ugly idiots who they just want to set up a big government so they can euthanize them. They revel in controlling others. You know, a powerful person can't stand having to control others. Even if you're the boss and got to get things done, you get sick and tired of it. It's not fun to tell people what to do. I know one thing, my ego sure doesn't need it. Because I'm confident, and I am smart, and I'm an artist, and I have passion, and I have love, and I have a sense of justice. These people are the opposite. These are sniveling sacks of crap who never could create anything in their lives except join a corrupt, predatory gang of government or corrupt corporations that get corporate welfare to suck off the rest of us. And they're the bane of human existence. They are parasites. Just like a tick, just like any other piece of filth. And they have this demonic, craven, murderous criminal energy about them. But they themselves are lusting after power because they are inherently ugly, weak, stupid, and filthy. And they project their self-loathing. They're smart enough to realize they're just filth. They come from lines of filth, lines of weakness, lines of miscreant trash, cretinous, degenerate vipers, like their father, the devil. And they see you, and they want to pull you down. One thing collectivists love is running the arts. They love making artists and performers and playwrights come and kiss their festoon their rumpuses with kisses. They love it. It's their whole world is about playing God. And I mean, I would never want to look in my neighbor's mailbox and know what they were doing. I never want to look in my neighbor's bedroom. Oh, with these people, that's what it's all about. They love the little outfits and the little signets of power and the crowns and all the rest of it. They are a group of Skeksis-like peacocks, and they will fail. Humanity will defeat them. They will fall. Their technocracy will not be their greatest victory. It will be their greatest defeat. All right, my friends, we are live. It is Thursday, the 27th day of December, 2012. We're about to end this year and enter 2013. If you just joined us, I'm going to give the number out in a moment for active duty military, especially military police and police in the U.S. It's public. I covered it last hour. Homeland Security preparing the Pentagon for war with conservatives, gun owners, libertarians. I covered it in the New York Times, Associated Press. This is not a rumor. And people say, well, how will they start that war? The plan is to pass draconian gun laws that make you turn in all your semi-auto, handgun, and rifles. That's now being announced. It's getting almost no attention. The members of the President's Task Force, Senator Feinstein, Governor Cuomo, they're all saying, we're going to make you turn your guns in. I covered it last hour. And it's like, oh, well, that's just how it is. Meanwhile, you've got the suspicious Batman shooting and then the Connecticut shooting where the people look like mind control victims out of a Hollywood movie, both getting their guns illegally. And you've got the Hammer killer. getting his gun illegally, stealing it that he used to shoot the firefighters. Now it turns out that guy was a Satanist. So because drug heads and Satanists are out doing bad things, statistically less dangerous than falling in your shower, we're supposed to turn in our guns. Government has always planned to go after our guns. The same globalists have taken guns in every other country but our nation and Switzerland. And they're now coming for them with the exact same program. Oh, there was a school shooting. We're just going to register them and ban some. And then they ban them all. They have dropped the hammer. That's why Cerberus, the biggest gun manufacturer, they produce 81% of guns in the U.S. They're saying they might not even sell. They may just completely get rid of it. One of the few industries we had left. You've got the gun shows on TV being canceled everywhere. But don't worry, Hollywood violence and race baiting, that's going to be intensified. You can see them dropping the hammer. And they know out of 170 to 180 million gun owners, some numbers are 150. It's a lot higher than that. If 1% refuse to turn their guns in, that's 1,500,000 terrorists. And you see it in the news. CNN, MSNBC. Gun owners are racist. Gun owners are terrorists. Gun owners are killers. Here's a Washington blog story at Infowars.com. We can punch this up for TV viewers. The FBI will apply the term terrorist to any group it dislikes, and then links to mainstream news about how they're shifting over to gun owners and conservatives. Remember that? The last 4 years where they said gun owners, conservatives, libertarians. They are the terrorists. Remember the New York Times, scouts trained to fight terrorists and more. Shows the Explorer Scouts 3 years ago. Training to take on disgruntled vets that wouldn't do what? Turn their guns in. Complete with dozens of color photos of the Iraq war vets being killed by the DHS Hugin. History repeating itself. People didn't think that was real at the time. Now it's completely widespread. Ladies and gentlemen, we have footage in Police State 2000 of scouts training. Go watch it. It's free online to go in their parents' houses and tell the Army what guns Mommy and Daddy have. Is Daddy telling the truth? Is this all the guns? The Marines in America training for this. That's why the military's waking up, because by and large, they're good men and women. And they know they're violating their oath, even training to do this. So I want to give the number out and then go over some of these headlines and then go to your calls. It's official. Senate.gov. I covered it last hour. I'm going to go back over some of it here in a moment. Dianne Feinstein says gun owners will have to be fingerprinted and nationally registered. It'll be like a level 3 firearms deal for basically all gun owners, where they'll have to approve, they'll have to bring your guns in and register them, and they'll decide. And she says that's part of protecting your right to own guns. Let me go back over some of these headlines here for you, okay? Sikh shooting ties into DHS veterans or terrorist narrative. Fox News, Democratic rep, the real enemy is the Tea Party. Forbes, how the U.S. military would crush a Tea Party rebellion. That's now their #1 enemy, is the Tea Party. They openly train at West Point and at the ROTCs all over the country. Just look it up. To take on who? I've been to the drills, folks, before this was ever in the news. Everybody wears overalls and John Deere hats. It looks like my farming family. I've been to the drills, folks. I mean, John Deere hats. They practice mowing you down. Army colonel ignites firestorm with article on crushing Tea Party insurgency. Examiner. The Hill. House Dem. Tea Party is the real enemy. Feinstein and Como admit planning Australian-style forced government gun buyback. Boom. That's now in Town Hall, Fox News, you name it. Oh, 5 days after Kurt Nemo's article, New York governor, gun confiscation and forced buyback an option. Boom. Here's Feinstein's letter. Stopping the spread of deadly assault weapons. She says to protect legitimate hunters and the rights of existing gun owners, it's like saying to protect your life, we hit you in the head 55 times with a hammer. And it goes on to say to keep your firearms that are grandfathered, you will have to go into the ATF to implement registration. And it says dedicated ATF implement registration of those with grandfathered 900 band firearms, positive identification, including photograph and fingerprint, certification from local law enforcement of identity, and the possession would not violate state or local law. So this is how New York did it 50 years ago. They said, oh, you still have a gun, just come get a permit. Then they charge a lot of money, then they quit giving the permits. There you go. This is what the president's getting ready to do. And then meanwhile, the general public isn't even aware of this. Napolitano stands by controversial report saying returning veterans are the #1 terror threat. Washington Times. I'm showing you articles. Alert, DHS rounding up veterans, throwing them in mental institutions for simply criticizing Obama. Infowars.com. Okay. And you're like, well, this will cause a civil war. I mean, if they try to do what they've done in New York and Connecticut and Illinois, where they say, okay, come register your guns. You got to get a yearly FOID card retroactively. And everybody pretty much went and complied. And then the minute you're in the hospital, that's who they usually hit. Like I mentioned last hour, it's in the Illinois news. They come and they SWAT team your house and make a big deal about it on the news. They're going to do this, folks, and they're going to take your guns, and they're going to call you terrorists. They're already saying gun owners are the filth of the earth. Gun owners need to be killed. Gun owners are racist. I mean, it's all over the news. This is the demonization. This is so huge. And now all these House Republicans are coming out and senators saying they're going to support the reasonable gun ban. And you know what? They're like, you know what? You're not just going to not sell those anymore. We're going to ban most of them, and the others you're going to come in and register. You're going to have a little visit with the police officers. They already know what gun you've got. They already know you're law-abiding. They know the guns lower crime. They're getting ready to fully implode the economy and take your pension funds. And they know that when they take the pensions paid for by especially non-commissioned officers, they know those types that have been in 23, 25 years, they know the veterans are going to get mad. And that's fine, because they're going to kill you. They've already trained to take you on, okay? This is a criminal foreign banking takeover. Mega banks combined with communists at the grassroots. U.S. Treasury raids federal employee pension funds to cover debts. See, it's already started. That's in Forbes, AP, Reuters, you name it. See, I told you all this was coming. How did I know? 7 years ago, they changed the federal law where they can take your pension funds, public or private. And they're coming. They're coming. You got it? They've done it in every other country. They're following an exact plan. How do I know what's coming next? They've done it before. But here, you know the real Crocodile Dundee? This was actually in Shotgun News more than 12, 13 years ago. I covered it. In fact, guys, Google, the real Crocodile Dundee was killed. He was a trapper. He took people on tours. They had already taken his semi-autos. They wanted his bolt actions. And they came out like hot shots with a SWAT team bragging they were going to kill him. And he fought back, killed a couple of them. They killed him. Did you know they actually attacked and killed, over the decade after the gun ban in Australia, over 1,000 Aussies? They murdered them. They would go to the forest swamp and kill, because it's hunting. They want to hunt gun owners. We are the most hated people, veterans, gun owners. The real Crocodile Dundee dies in police shootout. And that's out of what, the London Independent? Yep. There you go. Go read it for yourself. The rugged Australian rancher whose feats of survival in the outback inspired the movie character Crocodile Dundee was killed in a shootout. And let me tell you something. The globalists don't care how many cops die. They hate your guts too, okay? This is a criminal, illegitimate government that probably staged the shootings. These guys are always follow the same MO, with illegal guns under doctor's care, one guy under a DARPA mind control program, the Batman shooter. I want to hear from police and military, active police, active military. I know they've hired a lot of Rambo-type cops that think their war against America is going to be fun. Well, I feel sorry for those idiots. You have no idea what you're about to be part of. And the plan is to get us to wipe each other out. Do the police and military agree? Are you not training to do this? It's admitted. It's all starting. Are you going to go after the American people and take their guns? Because here's the problem. 800-259-9231. Here's the rest of the story. Just like Katrina, we later learned most of the military refused to take guns. They didn't care. They showed units that would do it to acclimate everybody. Most military and police are going to refuse. They're not going to care. They're going to send special units in to commit atrocities against patriots. More Wacos trying to elicit a paramilitary asymmetrical counter-response, counter-revolution that they'll call a terrorist revolution. The terrorists are taking over. They're engaged in a revolution. They want to start the fight to call counter-revolutionaries real Americans the terrorist. 800-259-9231. See, that's the rest of the story here. And they're going to stage atrocities and blame it on the patriots. 800-259-9231. Do you understand we're on the edge right now? I want to talk to police and others straight ahead. All right, Alex Jones here, back live. We're going right to your calls. Again, I've only covered a few of the points. The government admits they're preparing for civil war, civil unrest, and the government is saying the veterans, gun owners, constitutionalists, conservatives, libertarians are the enemy. Remember just 4 years ago, we got all these documents. People couldn't believe it. Now it's mainstream news. Yeah, and you're a racist, too, and we're going to arrest you. All they got to do is blow up some federal buildings, wire up some patsies, set some people up, tell somebody they're in a drill of attacking a police station. They kill the guys in the drill, say they're the terrorist. I mean, it's so easy how they do this. They use drills at schools, you name it, as the covers. We've caught them. That's been declassified before. Operation Gladio got rid of all the liberties in Europe, basically, from the 50s until the 80s, blowing up school buses and shooting up schools and stuff. That's how they took the guns in Italy, was staged school shootings. By the way, just type in government staged terror attacks with CIA, Italy. You'll get the Italian Supreme Court declassifying it all, 5 years ago. That was just one country where they did it. Yes, our government sent special forces in, and they'd bring a communist in, shoot him in the back of the head to blame him, and then have the special forces go out the back, shoot a bunch of kids. I mean, this is how they do it. That's why if anybody ever wants you to be part of a drill, even if you know everybody involved, there's always that chance it's going to be time to set you up. So you better know everybody there. They better be from your police department. If they come and tell you as a cop, or as anybody else, hey, come as a citizen, come be part of our little drill we're going to do. It's an unannounced drill. Don't be part of it. All right, let's just stop right there. I got to go to your calls. We've got Sean in Iowa, who's a police officer. We've got Dave in Kentucky, who's Army. We've got Carl in North Carolina, who's Marine. John, who's U.S. Navy. We're going to get to all of you here. But here's the deal. You notice they talk about the states rebelling, and Obama will be the new Lincoln when the states revolt. And I'd see that 4 years ago and go, they're archetyping him as Lincoln and saying Lincoln brought in martial law and arrested hundreds of members of the media and dozens of Congress and governors. They're getting ready to try to bring in stuff so unpopular, the states revolt. And then sure enough, they're doing that. And it dovetails with the John Warner Defense Authorization Act that predates Obama. 07. See, there's thousands of points. They really plan on finally conquering America by internal civil war. It's the only way America could be brought down. And they're really looking at doing it. These globalists are bold, folks. So if you believe they won't do it, they're going to do it. If you really freak out, and we should talk about solutions, because I'm risking my life doing this. I'm not doing this to lose. I want to beat these people. God. Okay, I said I'd go to your calls. It's just, folks, I'm not saying this for hyperbole. This isn't just what I believe. It's what I know. I study history. I'm obsessed with it. This is guaranteed. Do you understand that they've initiated the program? The train is rolling down the track. We don't have long to put the brakes on this thing before it's point of no return. All right, I'm going to shut up. Toll-free number to join us, 800-259-9231 for police and military. Let's talk to Sean in Iowa, who's a police officer. This is a short segment, then I'll get to everybody in the next segment. Sean, do you disagree with me? Do you agree? What are you being told?
No, I actually completely agree with you. And, I mean, people better wake up because it's coming. I read an article on stevequayle.com on the 25th, just the other day, with an interview with the Department of Homeland Security insider. Sent that to a couple cop buddies, took it as a grain of salt initially. My other buddy sent it to one of the patrol commanders, who then turns around and in turn tells him that he's got a buddy who used to be at DHS who was an assistant director, and He says in that article, it's everything that he's being told, that they're coming to take guns, they're going to quiet all the squeaky wheel cops. It's intense.
Exactly. And of course, you're talking about Quayle is reporting on a Doug Hagmann Northeast Intelligence Network report that I happen to have up at Infowars.com. I think I'm going to have this reposted right now to the front page. That here's the problem. This dovetails with everything that's open intelligence. Everything in this is already right in front of me in the news. See, when they start hiding something in plain view, what does that mean?
Well, they know that nobody reads the newspapers or even takes 5 minutes out of their day to surf through the internet and at least read headlines. I mean, it's there for you. It's free. It's information. People are more concerned with Dancing with the Stars, though.
I agree with you. I want you to stay there and come back with 2 more minutes. Can you do that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, stay there. And then I promise I'll get to Dave and Carl and John, everybody else that's holding. But listen to me carefully. The officer got part of it. When they decloak, to use the Star Trek analogy of a Klingon bird of prey, that's when they're firing. They're going public with all this because they're dropping the hammer, folks. We'll be right back. Remember all those years we told you this was coming? Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen news reports where CNN, you name it, will talk about where Obama's daughters are vacationing with the president, and they will shut down the CNN story. They'll be removed. The media on its own will go around and expunge it. We have a Facebook with 338,000 likes. That was a fan Facebook. We have dozens, over 1 million likes total. This was the biggest channel, and we can actually punch it up on screen at Infowars.com. I want to show viewers first up there on my screen. And we sent out a video dealing with the fact that I haven't even gotten to yet. I'm going to go to your calls first. That David Gregory and others have armed guards for their children, but they're saying that you shouldn't have any armed guards or police at your school. And here it is. This feature is temporarily blocked. Our social network lady, Christy, came and showed this to us for a video I did on YouTube that they won't let us share, talking about how Obama and David Gregory have armed guards for their kids at school, but they say you shouldn't. They actually say you shouldn't. That's wrong. Just advertise the schools as a mass shooting ground. So they say we're blocked for 19 hours, that no one can like it, no one can get our stuff. And see, why should I even promote Facebook? Well, we've used it as a way to get the word out, but this is all part of the censorship that we're going into. It says you recently posted something that violates Facebook policies, so you're temporarily blocked from using the feature. Learn more. To keep from getting blocked again, please make sure you've read and understand Facebook's community standards. The last time this happened to us, they said, you're not supposed to be political. That's not how you make friends. So not only does Facebook say they own your content and the head of it calls you dumb effers because you, quote, trust him, you're not allowed to talk bad about Lord Obama. See, these people are authoritarians. We need to get a report on this. Paul Watson needs to do one. This is a big deal because if you go through and learn more of why it happened, they are flagging our latest post that is the Obama video. And all we did was put up the headline, Obama's daughters go to school with 11 armed guards. Not allowed to have a video about that, which was a link to drudgereport.com covering it and Breitbart.com covering it and the Washington Post covering it. I shot a video last night at 11 o'clock at night. All right, I'm going to shut up and go to the police and others that are holding. I'm going to shut up. Sean, so you saw the Northeast Intelligence Network report about a high-level DHS person, and I've got my own sources, but I think Doug Hagmann is a good source, saying, hey, the hammer's getting dropped, they're coming after the guns. Well, that's in the news. They want to cause a civil war, and you put this up the chain, and again, repeat without me interrupting you exactly what you were told in your department.
Basically, one of the lieutenants, who's the ship commander, came back to us after I had sent the email to a couple other officers. He just reiterated the fact that he goes, this is exactly everything that I've been told, and it's like my buddy was telling me that this is what's going to happen. I mean, it's something that I didn't already know. It's just a different form in an interview from an anonymous source. So to get it actually validated like that is pretty huge. From his buddy who was again an assistant director at Homeland Security. So, and we get we get DHS information all the time on things. And he was telling me yesterday, he goes upstairs to one of the captains, and he's just like, "Are you getting this stuff? Like, what the heck is this? What's going on here?" And yeah, I mean, I would say in our department, it's probably about 50-50 awake right now. A lot of guys, the whole gun grabbing thing that's going on now with the magazine ammo shortage, nobody can get any guns. That's really got some people, that really grabbed them by the collar and shook them awake. So, now it's kind of like, well, I've gone from being the crazy guy to, man, he's right. So
let me ask you this question. Because, again, these aren't liberals. Everything they do is military style. We'll never take your guns while admitting they want our guns. They play these mind games with people. There is no doubt they are preparing for a civil war, and they plan to use the police to start it. And, again, most police aren't going to go out and take people's guns. They don't care. They're going to have special units do it, these little federalized special event SWAT teams they've set up to trigger it. And I just want the police to know, if they trick you guys into pulling off a couple of Wacos, it is going to be very bad, because the globalists think they're smart. They are masters at playing us off against each other. I hope everybody gets this is a plan, and that Obama can then act as a savior and bring in a total gun ban out of what is about to happen. Because, again, all the scripting has never been about al-Qaeda that they run, which is now public. It's all about a civil war. So I hope police understand that this isn't a war that you're supposed to win or the people are supposed to win. They all see us in the same group. And I hope that message gets through to police right now. I hope police are smart enough to understand this is an unexecutable operation and it's illegal. Do you concur with that analysis, A? And B, what's the word on gun confiscations? I mean, if they tell you to do it, I mean, what are the police you talk to saying?
I do agree that you are correct, and I have personally asked a lot of people. I work in a larger department in the state, and a lot of us have come to the point, I mean, I'm talking like shift commanders, actual like people in charge, to where I said, hey, we didn't think a lot of this other stuff was going to pass, but it did. So let's say they ban guns and we want to go take guns. Okay, what are we going to do? So I threw that hypothetical situation out there, and most of the people say, you know what, if it comes to that, I quit. I quit and I change sides. So, I mean, the cops we're stuck in the rock and a hard place here.
Because, I know.
The order of society, because there are bad people out there who really want to hurt others. But then on the other hand, we are the most visible arm of the government. So people equate what happens through, say, the federal government to your local police department.
Right. You're going to get the blame for all of this. And again, most of you are probably veterans. Again, they admit their enemy is the veterans because they know you're the people that know how to fight. And any authoritarian system gets rid of the current police group and intelligence group and enforcement security service group that was in previously. That's 101 from history. God bless you, and I appreciate you calling in today, sir. I don't know what to say at this point. I know it's reckless. I know it's crazy. Every indicator is they're going to go ahead with this. I want to tell the police something. Don't just quit. Speak out. Tell your unions to say no. Demand police chiefs that aren't traitors. Call your state house. Leak information. It's your right and duty. When you get Homeland Security reports demonizing gun owners and saying they're the new terrorists, it's your job to put that out. Through channels like InfoWars. We have show tips at Infowars.com. Send it to us there. We'll vet it and we'll put it out. We've got to fight this politically before it goes physical. The globalists are losing the political fight. It's like playing a card game and somebody's winning fair and square, so somebody else starts a fight. We're winning politically fair and square. So they're cheating. I mean, it's real simple, and they want to get us. I know I keep saying it. Let's go to Dave in Kentucky. Dave, you're on the air. You're Army, listening on shortwave. Do you agree with what I've been saying? Do you disagree? Do you have points to add?
I do agree, Alex, and I think a few things need to be addressed. First off, there's a disturbing trend of apathy starting to develop in a lot of my active duty and former active duty buddies and stuff like that. Wide awake, they listen to your show, but the problem is it gets to the point where, like Sandy Hook happening, and then we're all saying to each other, look, they're going to do it again. Something else is going to happen. Wait for it. And now we got the firefighters being killed. And so it's at the point it's like, okay, we can pretty much call the shots just as Alex is calling the shots, but they're starting to get disheartened, like, what's the point, because...
Okay, well, let me tell them the point. Let me tell them the point. They're not planning just some socialist takeover like Europe. They already did their re-education with Hitler over there. They're planning a full takeover in America. I mean, I hope people get, folks, they're going to gut everything. They're going to raise taxes so high that you're going to live in a 250-square-foot box. They're going to tell you what to eat. They're going to make you take inoculations. I hope people they plan a full collapse of America if they can get away with it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, and shifting gears, back in the summer, I had a buddy who's in a National Guard company out on the East Coast, and they had a drill where they were conducting training over resettlement operations. And I vetted it myself just because I was able to get a hold of the PowerPoint presentation that they were using to teach it. So, I mean, back then, this was, late in the summer, so the pretext was, say all hell breaks loose because of riots over the outcome of the election or anything like that.
Yeah, like I said, they used that as the cover for martial law drills last year. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
this year.
I can definitely say that, and talking to a lot of my buddies, both active duty and National Guard, they're training for it, not so much my unit, but it's real, and I just want to say out to all my military brothers out there, please don't lose heart. It is important. You do matter, and just stay the course. No,
I hear you, but let me say this. You shouldn't get disheartened by having PowerPoints where it talks about locking down cities and taking guns. We have the PDF. I mean, it's official. By the way, if it's not classified, I believe it's only, is that classified, that PowerPoint?
No.
Yeah, well, you need to send that on our way because people need to actually see the maps. I mean, I've already been to urban warfare drills where I've already seen the proto-development of it, but the cordoning, the taking over the media, the power plant, then the block-to-block, then how to deal with because in the drills, they have the folks beg to be in the camp. That's to create the psychological illusion that what you're doing is good. I mean, it's all meant to just sell you on the idea. But people need to see this. But how is it demoralizing people to know that they're training to put Americans in FEMA camps? That should make people gung-ho to be getting the word out and resisting it. I don't understand. How does that demoralize us? That should get everybody geared up. We've got an enemy that's come in and taken over. They're illegitimate. We need to use this information against them. This information will destroy the enemy. That's why they want to get into a physical conflict now, because our info war is really hurting them.
Hello? You there?
Yes, sir. Do you hear what I'm saying? I mean, do you agree? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I agree, and I'm on the same sheet of music as you. What I think where the position these guys are coming from is they look at society and, what the media is popularizing and things like that, and they think, I'm fighting for this. I think they pay attention to the wrong things. They don't look at the whole picture. They don't look at the things that you guys are putting out. Too many of them pay attention to the mainstream.
No, sir, when I see yuppies acting arrogant and I see the MTV bilge and the gangster rap, it makes me think, why am I fighting for America? Do you understand, if you read Soviet warfare manuals that were declassified in the 70s, I think one of them is called 40 Points for Soviet Infiltration. Can you guys find that? It's everything you see now. This is all done on purpose. I've talked to MTV executives, okay, who were there in the 90s when they were openly saying this in board meetings. The MTV isn't demoralizing on accident, sir. They know good people get hurt by this. And listen, that is cobra poison. They're pumping into us. Have you seen Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers?
Absolutely, I have.
Okay, so you've seen when the king of Rowan is sitting there thinking he's old, he's under the spell with Wormer Grimewood or whatever his name is, whispering into his ear, but Gandalf breaks the spell, and the guy gets up and feels his strength?
Yes.
That's exactly what America's under. We are literally under a propaganda brainwashing spell. The general public is in a trance. It doesn't matter if they've got 55% of people sucking their thumbs thinking everything's funny. Those people don't count. They've never counted. 3%'s always what counted. Do you understand? They're going to come, and they're coming after us. We don't have a choice. They know who we are. People say, I'm afraid to sign a petition. They'll come get me. They already know who you are. You're dead. They plan to put 50 million of us in re-education camps. That came out in the FBI files. The only hope's beating these people. They're not backing off. Do you see what I'm saying? We don't have any hope unless we get up and stomp them. Well, the only hope is going through these people. God bless you. I appreciate your call, and I know what you're saying. Let me tell you, don't watch the enemy propaganda. I have to watch it to analyze it, and it hurts me. I understand, but it's an enemy operation, and you cannot let them get you. Listen, let me tell you, this is a gamble by these people. This is a big gamble. Let's say they crush us in the first wave. Let's say they kill me, drag me off and torture me, roll me out as some brain-damaged robot. It doesn't matter. The people will know the truth. God knows the truth. Listen, they can't defeat us unless we buy into their propaganda that we're defeated. We have the victory. They're scum. There's only a few thousand globalists. They operate in darkness. We operate in the light. We're going to win. John in California, U.S. Navy, what's your take on this?
How you doing, Alex?
Good.
I just called to talk to you about the mood amongst people here that I work with, active duty military, civilian, federal employees, and retired people. Ever since the shooting in Sandy, it's been everybody here that I work around has said, you know what, if we got to turn in our guns to stop killing these kids, then that's fine. And I just, I can't believe it. There's other military that call in and say, hey, they're not going to do this. But I'm on a base with, there's like 30,000 people on this base every day, and everybody I come in contact with says,
well,
hey,
I'm not going to knock the Navy, but that's the Navy's history. I mean, the Navy comes out of martial law. And
right.
and that's just the culture of the Navy, of a ship, of the captain being God. That's what you expect. And you know what? If that's let them lick down and crouch down and lick the hand that feeds them, may their chains sit lightly upon them. If they really think giving the guns up for 20 dead kids when thousands die every year in the bathtub, the globalists are savagely exploiting this, disgustingly, obviously. I mean, how brain numb are these people there in the Navy?
I don't know. But it just, disgusts me, and, I can't believe it. And, I'm the crazy guy at work, who has InfoWars stickers on my car, but, people just, they think it's, we should give up our guns to stop.
Yeah, well, you counter people like that going, oh, really? Why do these media people have armed guards? Why does the self-propelled stomach Michael Moore have like 6 armed guards at all times?
Right.
I mean, why is violent crime dropping because of gun ownership? Anything else you want to add with that report, sir?
Yes. It was about 6 months ago. We had a meeting with enlisted people and, let's say, a high-ranking person.
I want to hear this when we come back. Stay there. I want to hear it. Don't go. By the way, we've logged into our Facebook, and we're getting a screenshot of the image that they showed us that has been banned. We just got contacted by Mike Adams. That's going to be in studio with me tomorrow here. And this is the image for TV viewers. I'm going to repost this to Infowars.com. In an article that I'm going to have Paul Watson or Steve Watson do. Among the many misdeeds of British rule in India, history will look upon the act of depriving a whole nation of arms as the blackest. Mahatma Gandhi, an autobiography, page 446. You guys show a document cam shot of this? I want to show the viewers this, people that are watching on prisonplanet.tv. So Mike Adams put that out. I put out a video showing that David Gregory has armed guards for his kids at their private school while he's saying you shouldn't. And they've said we're locked out of our Facebook. So, I mean, this is incredible censorship. You cannot quote Mahatma Gandhi. This is a big article. This is big news. People need to know that, I mean, it's on, folks. They're not going to let us defend ourselves. They're taking the gun shows off TV. Gun shows are already shutting down of their own accord. Companies aren't selling guns now, like Dick's Sporting Goods and others, cheaper than dirt, because the word's gone out. The New World Order is shutting down the guns, and Dianne Feinstein says she's working with the president to make you turn your guns in, or if you're lucky, just go give fingerprints and register your guns, which they always do before confiscation. And then they'll stage another shooting or let another shooting take place. It's so incredible how they do this. All right, I'm just totally upset right now. You better just get the word out about Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com and all my films online and the Obama deception and everything else, because it's not going to be there much longer. They're going for broke. You know, the good news is I got a bunch of new affiliates, KYAH 540 AM, Delta, Utah. I want to plug this properly later. WPIQ 92.7, Michigan. How do you pronounce that? Manistee. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. Manistee, Michigan. WMEL 1300 AM, Melbourne, Cocoa Beach. And KMJ 580 AM, Fresno, California, 50,000 watt. I think I've already plugged that one last week, but I got a couple more from last week I didn't plug. Can I have last week's? Thanks. Man, this is just, listen, this is real, folks. People are like, well, I guess we'll turn our guns into them. That's part of the enslavement program. They're going to take all your money and your pension funds. And that's not to prop up the economy. They plan to go over the fiscal cliff to bankrupt us on purpose. They know when they raise taxes, it lowers tax receipts. They want us bankrupt. I'm going to shut up and go back to, he just dropped off. I wanted to hear what the officer said in the meeting. Man, these guys, I say, stay there. I'm going to go to you, and they hang up. Let's go to a police officer listing in Illinois. Dale, what's your take on all this?
How you doing, Alex?
I'm not doing good. I'll be quite frank with you.
Yeah, I can tell, my friend. Well, thanks for getting my blood pressure up, too. I appreciate it.
Oh, man.
Long story short, I'll get real quick. I happened to be at the guard ground, and we've trained out there a lot. Happened to walk by the ammo dump, and usually they have ammunition signed up, for the engineer. I don't remember what the numbers are. Let's say the 123 Brigade or engineer, and the 123 road construction division or whatever. They have, they got it allotted that way. They had contingency ammo. Almost 3 million rounds of 223 or 5.56 and 7.62 by 51 or 308 as most people know as commercially. Contingency rounds, I've never seen that. And I've been out there a billion times in my 25 years on the force.
Listen, I got to go to break 60 seconds. I give you my word. I'll come right back to you because this is breaking news. This ties into the 1.6 billion bullets bought in the last 12 months. They are gearing up for absolute civil war. Stay there. Don't hang up. There's an old saying about, I've been there, done that. I got the T-shirt to prove it. I've got countless videos, just one we shot last year in Illinois of the state police training with foreign troops, putting people in the sports stadium in Chicago. I've been to countless urban warfare drills where they practice fighting the U.S. militia. I mean, I remember learning about this 15 years ago when emergency managers and police chiefs, like the police chief of San Antonio, because he'd been in Army intelligence, Ali Philippus spoke out. I went and talked to him. The interview's public. And he said, yeah, they came in with piles of cash. Delta Force tried to buy me off. I mean, there's been a covert shadow government takeover, and now it's coming to a head. It's a lot bigger than Obama, and I'm going to shut up and go to Dale, who's an Illinois police officer. You've got the floor for the rest of this segment. It's only 4 minutes. Break down, again, exactly what you saw, what you witnessed, where it was, what you can say, the 3 million rounds of extra ammo when you were training there at the guard base that ties into the 1.6 billion rounds of ammo and armored vehicles being cached around the country, and tell us what you think's happening.
Well, I'll answer the last one first. What I think is happening, they're getting ready for something big. I have no clue what it is. I have been keeping an eye on everything, all these executions, as I call them, of these innocent people from Columbine all the way to Connecticut. And anyway, long story short is that this is all set up. There's too many. This story when it first starts out is totally different as what it is when it ends up. For instance, I'll go to Connecticut because it's basically the last one. That kid's AR-15 was in somebody else's car that was parked there. Two other people take off running, and they catch him. Now, this whole thing is staged. As far as the ammunition is concerned, it's always been, when you walk by it, we don't get into it because, we're a police department, we're not military. But anyway, when you walk by it and you see set up for an engineering group or a bridge construction, however they have their military, set up, it's all designated for these outfits. And then all of a sudden you got almost 3 million rounds of 5.56 and 7.62 for contingency. Well, what's a contingency is my question. I've actually, as a almost a retired police officer, I've gotten to a point now where I'm so fed up with trying to talk to people that I've actually gone on a computer, it's prepperbroadcasting.com. I started doing a program with them, talking to people about, telling people what firearms actually are, as far as the assault weapons, which none of us have assault weapons. We've got semi-automatics, and personally honest with you, me being on the TAC team, I've got, not only do I have semi-automatics, but I've also got sniper rifle. They're going to say my 700 now is going to become classified as
no, that's right. I've got multiple Remington 700s, actually used police guns I bought, and they're great guns. And they're great deer hunting rifles, but the point is they're saying those are now military, you've got to turn them in. The optics, everything. Look, you say they're gearing up for something, you don't know what it is. Previously, there probably might be a few thousand rounds of ammo at a National Guard drill, if even ammo at all. Now a cache of 3 million rounds. This is the answer. They're going to try a gun confiscation, and it's going to cause a civil war. And that's the plan, because they're then going to call the citizens that don't turn their guns in terrorists, just like the Redcoats did in 1776. That's how the country started. That's how Texas started. And the police you talk to, are they waking up, or are they just going along with this?
We've got, it seems like 2 years ago I was conspiracy theorist. Now they're going, you've got a point. The problem that I have right now is that I'm in a rank that I can kind of sneak into some of the meetings and get some intel as much as I possibly can. But I do know when it hits the fan that this old man is going to be making about 4 or 5 phone calls. The chain goes out, and we've already got this set up with a bunch of people that I know. We've got a chain that's going to go out, and hopefully they ain't going to knock out our phone. If they do that, we've got some other contingency.
Hold on. I want to hear more from you. Well, if you ever wanted to see the fall of America and how it would be taken over from within, you are seeing it. The collectivists believe this is their chance to take over. They have always been spoiling for a civil war, homeland security fight with American gun owners and conservatives. And I hope you realize this is not radio theater. I have FBI. I have federal marshal. I have state police sources. We've broken many a national news story. The Army War College is training against its main enemy, the Tea Party. That's Forbes. That's AP. I covered it in the last 2 hours. We got loaded police and military on the phone lines here. And for me, I'm right at the tip of the spear. You better believe I'm deader than a hammer if all this goes down. And I'm far beyond offensive, type stuff. In fact, I don't even want to get into defensively things. I think for anybody who knows how the world really works, you need to understand something. My only hope is if the globalists do try to hunt down the American people, it's not kissing the police's butts. It's like Christ said, forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. The globalists plan on the patriots and the police killing each other. And if you talk to our other sources we've had on air and confirmed, you notice in this whole shutdown of society scenario, they have the police guard the local government district. Government bureaucrats and corporate heads live in certain enclaves Even though in every major city there'll be lots of rich areas, notice they always live in just a few block area. That's because they're a mafia. And the police are supposed to guard them. The police are supposed to march out and arrest us and set up checkpoints with the army and have firefights with us and mobile armored pillboxes. And while the globalists sit back in their little armed redoubts with police guarding them. Now, I don't have fantasies about a hot war. I don't have fantasies about, oh, I'm going to be this revolutionary and this is going to be great. Everything I've done has been trying to stop this. Everything I've done. And I hate watching people get played as fools. And the fact that they're going to try to cause a civil war where the police and military get killed along with U.S. citizens while we kill each other so a bunch of globalists can engage in social engineering and literally laugh at us, just like they have Shiites and Sunnis kill each other in the Middle East. And it's official Pentagon doctrine to stir up, to destabilize those countries, to make sure radicals get in charge. Man, that's evil. So in the end, remember who did this? It was J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, the big banks that have all been caught laundering drug money, the ones that run the Federal Reserve, the one that run the Ponzi scheme. They want America under their control so that we sign on to all their debt, which are too big to fail because they're bringing us down with them, which was part of the plan. Now, we do have Doug Hagmann. He's been having his email blocked and a bunch of stuff going on. His source, which is in DHS, is confirmed by my sources. Now, again, back during the election, I said, they're going to steal this probably for Obama. And I made jokes about Romney may win, but it was all staged. It didn't matter. I'm going to go back to your calls right now. Dale in Illinois here in a moment. And then Ron and Brian and Mac and Carl, we're going to get to all of you ahead of Hagmann. But I want you to just understand something. That I told you, they're constantly saying they're going to drop this hammer, drop that hammer, to see who will go along with it and to get you ready for it. But now, I'm telling you, all the signs are there. And if you just joined us, this police officer in Illinois, a senior officer, who's in on these meetings where they're pushing this whole takeover, he was saying, yeah, now they go out to National Guard, small base, to do training. And usually there's not even ammo there. Now there's 3 million ammos, a 223 and 308. Yeah, it's 1.6 billion rounds. They admit for civil unrest. Folks, 1.6 billion rounds, that's enough to kill every American 4 times. This is a takeover. Let me read to you from the Congressional Report. January 10th, 1963, Congressional Record Appendix PP A34-A35. Current communist goals. Extension of remarks by Honorable A.S. Herlong, Jr. of Florida, in the House of Representatives, Thursday, January 10th, 63. This is from The Naked Communist by Cleon Skousen from Intelligence Leaked. Develop the illusion that total disarmament by the United States would be a demonstration of moral strength. That same year, they put out Memorandum 7277 calling for all Americans to be disarmed under a UN treaty. That UN treaty, that same treaty they've never gotten passed, brought back every year, is set to pass in March. This is the move. Okay, I'm going to shut up. Look, I'm literally like somebody here on a sinking ship doing this broadcast, okay? And people say, well, what do? We can't beat them, let them take over. Folks, they plan horrible things for America. And a lot of you are like, well, I'll serve them then. There is no serving them. They shoot you up with cancer virus-filled shots. Dale in Illinois, you were talking about the 3 million bullets you saw and all the rest of it, and some of the other officers starting to wake up. Finish your point about, wanting to stay in there because you're senior enough to be in these meetings. Give us any info about what goes on with DHS. I mean, I know from some of the mainstream articles, they're hardening all the facilities for martial law, millions dead, that's all come out. And then and just finish any other points you'd like to make about, you were saying you've got your phone tree ready, if certain orders go out.
Yeah, we'll start with that one first. Yeah, we've got a phone tree that we're going to go out, and then from that point on, we've got some contingency communications that we've got set up. The only way they're going to be able to stop is to whack us with an EMP pulse. 2 things I want to hit real quick. Number one, you're not the only one on that feel like you're on that sinking ship. And believe it or not, when it hits a fan, I'm probably going to be one of the first ones they try to take out because I'm probably one of the most boisterous. But then again, if they try that, they'll just make a martyr out of me because I've got a large family, and the only thing you're going to do is piss off about a 10 or 12 of my young nephews.
And remember, they'll run a psyop. They'll blow up a school and say you did it, or they'll.
Yeah, that's already. I've discussed that with people. That if anything nasty would happen, like for instance, they would say that I killed my wife and committed suicide. I've already got that taken care of. People know that that's not the truth, and that'll never happen. So anyway,
same here, brother. Same here. Absolutely.
Yeah. So basically, I've learned a lot from you, believe it or not, and used a lot of. I've been stealing some of your thunder, and when I've talked to people, I hope you don't mind.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Our only hope.
There are people waking up. There are a lot more people waking up today than there were, I would say, 6 months ago. My biggest fear is that I'm going to have a gas leak in this house, and the place is going to blow up, and what it'll probably end up being is a Hellfire missile hitting the place.
Well, exactly, but listen, here's the issue. We've got patriots everywhere, and God bless you, sir. I appreciate you calling us. Listen, we're going to move to other callers quickly now. I've been hogging the time. Listen, the globalists are very small, but they command the heights and can put out official stories. We discredit them. We expose them. They're moving ahead with this because they're in trouble. Their own internal documents that are public say this. I've talked about Brzezinski's book this year. He's one of the top globalist planners. They're trying to finish things because they're behind, okay? Most people in government aren't terrorists or killers. They've got to put out cover stories and get us to buy into it. Most people in government are upset about what's happening. That's why they have to put out this narrative and demonize gun owners. Let's go to another call here. Let's talk to Ron in New York, and then I promise I'm going to Carl, who's a Marine, Bryant, who's a Marine, and Mac, who's a Marine. Real quick, Ron, make your point.
Alex, there will now be a public service announcement type commercial with numerous members of Hollywood, actors and actresses from Hollywood, telling people that they should ban guns and that we should outlaw guns. I find this unusual considering that most people in Hollywood live in areas that you couldn't even walk through.
Sure, we've played the ad put out by Bloomberg. We've played it with 50 people, including Jamie Foxx that says, kill all the white people. He says, turn our guns in.
Well, let me go further. And they all hide behind battalions of heavily armed security for themselves. And I also found it interesting that some of them in there, one was Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow is not even an American national. She's a British citizen. And I find it unusual because I have noticed as of late this slight pattern of seeing British nationals interfering in the internal affairs of American politics and the American people. And I find this rather unusual, not only because they're not nationals of this country, but because they come from a country we fought 2 brutal wars against for our independence. One gets the impression that maybe they want to recolonize the United States.
You know, that's why we put out the petition that's almost 100,000 right now, saying deport Piers Morgan. And they're like, what about our First Amendment? What about our Second? You're a foreigner engaged in subversion, and I cited the Supreme Court ruling. Get out of my country. Look, listen. It's illegal for citizens to call for, say, making black people slaves again. It's called subversion, okay? And I'm tired of it, and Piers Morgan is a piece of trash who bragged on his own Twitter that he's here to conquer America. What do you think about all these pro-gun Facebooks getting shut down right now?
Well, of course, that's what's going to happen. We knew that was going to come sooner or later, and it's going to get worse because they know that the Internet is where patriots can put their message out. And that's where they're going to start to crack down more and more and more, using every unscrupulous and underhanded trick to do it. So we knew that was coming. But it really does get me to see somebody who is, like I said, not only from another country, but a country we fought 2 wars against. And it's not just Piers Morgan. There are a few others I noticed. This has become apparent more clearly as of late. Telling us, how we should conduct our internal affairs.
No, the globalists bring in foreign propaganda mercenaries to flaunt. No other country would put up with foreigners telling them what to do. It's all about breaking our will, flaunting it in our face. Like that illegal alien that got a free kidney donated to him by Loyola up in Illinois. He said, that's not enough. I want more. Everybody knows we've got criminals hijacking the country.
Everybody knows that the
And the crooks don't care. They're arrogant. Look at a lot of these globalists, though. They've never actually been in a fight themselves. And we've got to rattle them and let them know that we see them, we know who they are, and that we're not going to let them get away with what they've done. But everybody out there that's always talked big about if they come for my guns, you know, they're going to get them bullets first and all this. You better engage in information warfare right now. Right now. Because the authoritarians want to hunt you down. They're going to say you're a terrorist. They're going to put you in a re-education camp. That's in the official Army field manuals. And a lot of people will get scared when all this goes down. They're going to turn in their guns. They're going to rat out their neighbor. I like Obama now. I used to didn't like him, but my neighbor, he's with Al-Qaeda. Get him. That's how they're going to work. These people think you're scum. They think they've beaten you. And they think it's funny what they've done. These are operatives. They know what they're doing. These are not liberals. And they've got the Republicans lined up saying they're going to go along with it. Let's go to Carl in North Carolina, who's a Marine. Then we're going to go to Bryant and others. Go ahead, Carl. You're on the air.
Hi, how you doing? First thing, you just brought up Piers Morgan. He's lucky it's not 200 years ago where he can get tar and feathers. And another thing, all these homegrown redcoats, I'm about tired of them. They need to understand the Constitution and understand that's the foundation of this country. Now, the Marine Corps is an excellent organization, and my commanding officers, like, for the past 6 years, every one I've had has pounded that during their that the Constitution is what we go by. We need strict adherence to it, and that has always made me feel really good. So I'm a strict constitutionalist myself, and I don't know, everything's just kind of overwhelming right now, and especially with all the talk of coming to get our guns, because I do not agree with that at all.
Sir, I agree with you. We just got a Infowars.com report here. They're shutting down pro-gun Facebooks everywhere. They're freezing them. Our Facebook, Robert Bowman's Facebook, Richard Gage, Mike Rivero, Anthony, just everybody. Anybody that questions the shootings is being shut down. Anyone who puts even mild... Man, let me tell you, folks, that's what I'm saying. They're dropping the hammer right now. I mean, they've shut down our Facebook. They've shut down Mike Adams. This is a test of their cyber takeover. The Marines you talk to, are they understanding what's happening and how much trouble we're in?
I'd say about 40% are hardline constitutionalists, those around me. You could say another 40% just they don't care. They'd rather watch football and talk about football all day. And then the other 20, I mean, you could get them to go either way. It's just whatever's being mentioned. But
well, people better get out today and do pro-gun banner hangs. Everybody better call other talk shows today. Everybody better call Congress and their state houses, because I've never seen them shutting down the pro-gun Facebooks across the board. In fact, we've now confirmed they've shut down 3 of our Facebooks. I've never seen stuff like this happen. And again, they're shutting down gun shows. They are shutting down stuff across the board. God bless you. I appreciate what you have to say. People, you better use the First Amendment while we've still got it. I mean, and all the mainline conservatives, you better just admit we were right about the New World Order and get hardcore, or it's all over. I mean, this is a criminal foreign takeover. I don't know how else I'm supposed to say it. And they can't let us operate when they do this. They're going to start shutting things down. And they're testing and probing to see if they can shut us down. I mean, Facebook, what a mafia with their pump and dump scam. It's just all mafia. Bryant in Texas, a Marine, you're on the air.
Yes, sir. Hey, Alex, how's it going?
Got about a minute, sir. Go ahead. I'm fine.
Hey, brother, I just wanted to ask you. I mean, we see all this, gun control. I mean, I already had 3 of my buddies. You're talking about Facebook earlier. 3 of my buddies from Marines just had some guns on their Facebook. All 3 of those accounts have been shut down by Facebook. They're no longer able to access them. When do we as a country, when do we as just a nation come together? When is it when we start saying, okay, okay, now we're going to defend ourselves. Now we're gonna take care
Sir,
of the
have you
situation.
read? They are scripting that veterans and gun owners are terrorists. They're saying we're racist. They're saying we deserve to die. They're saying Wayne LaPierre deserves to die. They're coming. That's what I'm saying. See? They just shut down guys you know because they're making pro-gun statements. We're not going to have a First Amendment. We're having nothing because the word has gone out. They wouldn't be selling off the gun manufacturers. They wouldn't be doing all of this and shutting down gun shows on TV if the word hadn't gone out. Obama's going to sign an executive order, and now they're announcing he is. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going into the prison planet. We have more police officers holding. You just heard the Marine earlier about all his buddies getting their Facebook shut down because of pro-gun statements. Everyone I know is running in here saying we're getting calls by everybody. Their Facebooks have been shut down. If you put one word about the Second Amendment on your Facebook, it's gone. So Facebook declares no free speech for gun owners. Red alert, man. This is a purge. They are saying you're a racist terrorist if you own guns. How bad does the demonization have to get? Now, I've been telling you they're gearing up with the 1.6 billion bullets and all the urban warfare training manuals for martial law in this country. And I want to go over some more of these headlines here before we go to our guest. Alert, DHS rounding up veterans, throwing them in mental institutions. Veterans are being targeted in aftermath of Homeland Security smear campaign. Infowars.com. Washington Times, Napolitano stands by controversial report saying veterans are the #1 terror threat in America. United States Senator Dianne Feinstein says all gun owners to be fingerprinted, most guns to be banned. Off the chart, incredible. I mean, this is not even getting attention. Feinstein's also come out in public letters along with Como saying they're going to ban guns and make you turn them in. This is just amazing. Own a gun, you're a racist. Kurt Nimmo article about Michael Moore. Feinstein and Como admit planning an Australian-style government gun buyback program. New York governor, gun confiscation, enforced buyback an option. Kurt Nimmo. House Dem, Tea Party is the real enemy. They're terrorist. Army colonel ignites firestorm on article, Army War College, on crushing a Tea Party insurgency, gun confiscation. Forbes, how the U.S. military would crush a Tea Party rebellion. Forbes, Army training domestically to take on the Tea Party. Fox News, same headline. Ladies and gentlemen, this is only the tip of the iceberg, okay? Then you get this shooter, a convicted murderer, kills his grandmother with a hammer in the 80s. They let him go. He steals a Bushmaster and goes and shoots firefighters. Does anybody believe that? Just like 2 people are seen running away from the scene in Sandy Hook. And then you find a guy shot in the head inside. You go have a drill. You shoot your mental patient Patsy in the head. You get out. I mean, this is the oldest. This is a false flag. This is Operation Gladio. You don't know what that is, media? Go look it up. It's how our military-industrial complex took European freedom over 40 years, staging mass shootings in Europe to ban their guns. How do you do it? You take a mentally ill Patsy, you shoot him in the head in school, shoot a bunch of people. Same thing at the movie theater. Gladio did that. Blow up a school bus, blame a Patsy on the spot. Declassified. Let me tell you, we're getting a lot of media attention right now, folks. We're in danger. We need your prayers right now. Infowars.com, my entire crew, myself included. You better appreciate this information. They're pulling out every stop. Now, I want to take you to Doug Hagmann. And I just had his bio here in front of me. Doug J. Hagmann is the founder and director of the Northeast Intelligence Network and CEO of a multi-state licensed private investigative agency serving many Fortune 500 clients, 27-year veteran of conducting investigations in the private sector. He has logged over 50,000 hours of covert surveillance in his career, and the author of Tactical Surveillance. He's a member of the International Counterterrorism Officers Association, has a bunch of police degrees. I'm not going to get into it all, and advises police departments around the country. And he's given us a lot of really good intel that's checked out over the years. And he put out a transcript with his DHS source saying, get ready for Obama to drop the hammer. And they said the plan is to go out, harass and attack gun owners, and then stage stuff and just say gun owners are terrorists. Well, you can already see that in the admitted news. And you heard police officers call in and say, yeah, This is what they've been told. Well, I've got the training manuals. They say gun owners and veterans are the terrorists. Our government runs Al-Qaeda now in Libya and Syria, killing people. Okay, I mean, the government is gone. We are wide open, worldwide emergency. The U.S. is completely taken at the federal level by globalist foreign forces. We still have the media and the internet, but Doug Hagmann joins us. Doug, I don't know if this happened to you. I don't even know if you have a Facebook. Did you know that we are tracking hundreds of Facebooks of every pro-gun group there is being shut down for any pro-gun statements? Mike Adams, you guys bring me that printout back in? Actually, here it is. Mike Adams was shut down for, let me show people this. Among the many misdeeds of the British rule in Indian history, we'll look upon the act of depriving a whole nation of arms as the blackest. Mahatma Gandhi believed, and he quoted the Second Amendment, by the way, and that's from his autobiography, page 446. No speech is allowed. People say, oh, well, that's their website. No, they act as a commons. You come and give it value, post your photos, your articles, your work, and then they come in and say, you're not going to have any pro-gun talk. Folks, they're moving on every front. This is the greatest attack. And they're already announcing they're going to physically make you turn miniguns in, and all the others are registered, and you've got to do a level 3 type deal where you thumbprint and they can refuse you. That article just went up at Infowars.com. Again, you've got to put out maximum effort to create the biggest counter buzz to this you ever have, or it's over. Doug Hagmann, I'm ranting here. You're joining us by phone on short notice. We'll obviously get you to pop back in tomorrow when Mike Adams is in. I'll be in with him part of the show as well. I'll be here working behind the scenes. I've got so much work to do. Doug, I mean, your source is confirmed because all this is already out in the open, but he gives us even more intel. What are we facing right now, and is there any way to stop this runaway train, or has the enemy committed, and why is the enemy committing whole hog? The media is saying he's the new Lincoln. He will wage war on the states. They're calling for people to be arrested. They're calling for him to be a dictator. Reuters is. My God, it looks like they're going to go whole hog and stir up a race war and say you're racist if you don't turn your guns in. I mean, are they dropping the hammer completely, Doug Hagmann?
Alex, thanks for having me. Number one, yes, they are dropping the hammer. This is not a drill. I mean, this is the real thing. I think that what we're seeing right now is the start, not the. I mean, this is the start. We haven't even seen the real worst of the beginning yet. There's obviously, we're seeing censorship ourselves on Facebook, on social media networking sites. Our posts are being removed. Anything that having to do with the Second Amendment, gun rights, are being removed. As you mentioned earlier on, my DHS source told me that they've got no this regime that's currently in power are pulling out all of the stops.
This is Obama's cyber order he won't let Congress see. He told Congress, I signed a domestic order. You can't see it. That's dictator. I mean, exactly. This is it.
Yeah, exactly right. And there are right now. This is such an asymmetrical warfare. People are not understanding or comprehending. But you're doing a good job of explaining this. But people do not comprehend the fronts that we are fighting. We're fighting the informational warfare, the cyber attacks, from all angles. But what is happening here? Everything that we're seeing right now is a lie. From the economy to Benghazi to even the shootings have so much mystery surrounding them. And by the way, Alex, according to my DHS source, expect more. Expect at least one more to really solidify this sentiment against these ugly, bad, scary.
So wait, your
weapons.
source is saying they staged it?
My source would not go to that level, however, indicated that there was his advice to me is research it. You will find things that are not right with it.
Well, it's the same deal. They've got stables of mental patients in psychiatric care wound up being given the weapons right now.
Yes.
And they're advertising, hey, you're a crazy person, go to a school, murder, it's the new thing to do.
Yeah, there's a lot wrong. I have to tell you this. There's a lot wrong with Sandy Hook, with that situation. With all due respect to the victims there, there's a lot wrong with that situation. But the important part of this is to expect at least more incident to really solidify in the minds of people that these big bad assault rifles, a misnomer to be sure, are not to be in the hands of the American people.
Go over what they're planning to do, because, again, they're getting ready to collapse the economy. They can't have us armed while that happens. Plus, from my research, this is their excuse to go after gun owners and call us the new terrorist. The entire real architecture of Homeland was set up for that. The cover was Al-Qaeda.
Exactly. And you just said it. They are not necessarily interested in shutting down the social media or the Internet. They're using social media to demonize people like you, people like me, anybody who speaks up for the right terms, for the right of free speech. By the way, Amendments 1 and 2 are linked, and they're going after both of them. And as we're seeing right now, as we're seeing it play out, obviously they want to take our guns and they want to shut us up. And they're doing both simultaneously. Anyone reporting on journalism, speaking out against government policies, anyone who protests anything that is antithetical to this regime will be shut up and censored, if you will. And not only that, but according to my source, put on a list, if you will, because when the money supply, or when the economy collapses, when the dollar collapses, when we can no longer buy anything, and the riots break out, the very first people to go, according to my source, the very first people to be rounded up, the very first targets, if you will, on the radar of this regime are the people that are speaking the truth about what's taking place. Alex Jones, Doug Hagmann, others like us who are getting to the heart of the matter. We are the targets for not only the censorship, but for what's coming after that. What's coming after that is the actual, the physical part of it to take us out of the fight before it really begins.
And look at how they've butchered the entire Bill of Rights and Constitution from one end to the other. Of course they're going to come after the guns. And you look at the collectivist left, these are conscious authoritarians. These aren't even leftists. These are just monstrous creatures that think they're on the winning team and think tyranny and torture is sexy. This will cause resistance, which is part of their plan as well, the rebranding of gun owners as terrorists. I took a lot of calls from police and military. Most of them are awake. Do you see this going the way the globalists plan?
Well, I think ultimately, and I was told that they have run models, computer models, to anticipate various outcomes. And they expect a greater than average acquiescence by gun owners so that they are not brandished as criminals who possess semi-automatic weapons. And by the way, these semi-automatic weapons will include, according to my source, any pistol, semi-automatic pistol, as well as the so-called assault rifle.
That's right. They've done their studies. They think the American people are cowards and are afraid, so they'll roll over, and then the dark night begins. As they told us the dark night was coming, didn't they, in their little film? And so this is their time to rise. This is their fire going up. This is their attack on us. And they're going to take the pension funds, the private property. They're going to do the forced inoculations. It's already begun. They're just going to do whatever they want. This is their time.
Yes, and as you always say and have said, they're laughing at us because they know neighbors will go against neighbors and family members against family members because the collapse of the dollar will introduce a hunger, a lack of pensions being taken away, that there won't be any money. I don't want to sound like I'm fear-mongering, but it's just the way it is.
And any gun owner that defends themselves, just like in England, if you defend yourself with your fist in your own home, you're thrown into prison for decades. Just the savage state viciously attacking any form of self-defense. Just a hell, and Bloomberg telling you what to eat and just and force-feeding kids GMO while keeping them down to 860 calories a day, starvation level. Just America, a giant re-education hive run by gibbering control freaks screaming you're a racist if you don't bow to them.
Exactly. And people, and my DHS source, and people say, well, Americans won't take this. Well, look at what Americans are subjecting themselves to and allowing themselves to be subjected to at airports. That's, with the TSA. Where's the outrage over that? Well, what's the average American's line in the sand? Is it going to be the of the weapons. You know, at what point? At what point? What's the line? What's the tripwire here? And once again, according to my source, there have been models run. They do expect a certain amount of resistance, but they feel that, and I suppose to a degree, I agree, that there are a lot of people with virtual muscles, like beer muscles, that will post on the internet saying, well, they're not going to take my gun. Well, look what happened within Katrina. I mean, how many shots were fired when the gun confiscation took place?
No, the globalists are calling the bluff. They're going to take everything.
Exactly.
And the mainline Republicans are going to line. That's the big sign how much trouble we're in, is all these congressional Republicans coming out and saying, let's turn the guns in.
Exactly.
I mean, the TV shows being canceled, the biggest gun manufacturer announcing sale or shutdown. I mean, this is it. They've been told, the executive, well, it's not my intel. They've said Obama's looking at an executive order. He'll use his commission as the cover. It's totally illegal. And then once they've done that, they're just going to take everything else. It's just going to be horrible.
It will be, and people, I don't think, have a complete understanding, Alex, of how horrible it will be. We're talking about an oppression like this country has never seen before. You know, and once again, will we rise up? Will we be able to get together?
I predict about 10% aren't going to look for trouble, but when it comes, they'll defend. And I predict about 1.5% are going to go on the offensive. But that's part of the plan to start the Civil War, to brand gun owners as terrorists. I mean, the globalists are just pure evil. People aren't sophisticated enough to get it. The cops aren't. The public isn't. And so the foreign bankers will get. And I mean, tell you, I would not want to be a cop, though. I'll tell you that right now.
No. And that was discussed, too, about where the cops lie or where the police officers lie in this, what their position might be. And also, I've been hearing, too, of the expansion of the TSA commission to make TSA officers commissions to assist in the confiscation if necessary, which is just totally absurd.
No. They put them in all 50 states. Well, I keep saying last year, like it's 2013. This year, they deployed to all 50 states big caches for their sleeper teams. I mean, they're already ready to stand up, as they call it, the military, and they've got all these 72-hour stand-up programs for FEMA camps. That's all official. Billions a year. I mean, they're ready. They're just going to... They just cannot wait to arrest people, knock our teeth out, torture us, rape our wives. I mean, it is just hell.
Well, and you make a good point, because they're really not only coming after our guns, but they're coming after us. And that sounds like a really...
Oh, no, they're gonna bomb police stations and blame it on us. And, the cops will get all mad and run out and kill a bunch of patriots. And then patriots will kill them. And then the globalists will sit back and laugh, and it'll be a great fun. Total takeover of America. Front row seats to gun confiscation. Get ready. Hope you all enjoy it. We'll be back. America is in a coma. And the globalists know if you've got guns, that means you don't trust the system. That means you're prepared. That means you know how to fight. This is a takeover. It's a world government being announced. Do you understand that? Because they can't starve us out and they can't make us run, because these good old boys were raised on shotguns. Let's go to a police officer, Eric, in California, listening on the free Android app. And we got Doug Hagmann on with us right now via phone. And look, once they start killing a bunch of cops and then blaming it on us, or having cops confiscate guns and then cops do get killed, it's on. It's going to be war. And the police in mob mentality will just start going after any patriots. Patriots will just start going after any police, while the globalists sit back offshore laughing. Now, I don't know how we stop this. I want to talk to Doug about that in a moment. But, Eric, thanks for holding. What's your take on all this?
Hey, buddy. How you doing, Alex? Honored to talk to you. Honored to meet you, man.
Nice to talk to you. You have people ask how I'm doing. I'm fighting my instincts to just not evacuate this country. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, my take on this whole thing is, I got to tell you, I was around for the LA riots and all that, and guess what gave the police the upper hand in that? Store owners armed. Legal store owners, law-abiding citizens with guns. That's what helped us. I don't know why the media and the government doesn't want you to know this. Well, I do know why, because they don't want us to have guns. They want to take them.
Yeah, California is basically pushing a bureaucratic ban right now. There's never enough for these people. What is your take on, from every angle, they admit they're gearing up for a civil war. Are police in this country going to let them start a civil war? Because I guarantee you, there's a percentage of people that aren't turning them in.
Yeah, well, exactly. And the thing is, the police are going to be caught in the middle almost as, which side do they take? Because, obviously we're government officials, but on the other hand, cop is citizen on patrol. We are citizens. You understand? We're not.
Well, you're not supposed to execute illegal orders either. I mean, look, we got a constitution. If Obama signs an executive order saying we've all got to lick his boots, do we have to do that?
Yeah, exactly. I would hope not. I surely would hope not.
Are other police you talk to concerned about this?
Yeah, definitely. And the thing that's concerning us the most is now we can't even, we don't even have free speech. Like you were saying, I know people that have gone suspended without pay for saying, quote, not the right thing on Facebook. It's disgusting, Alex. This country's become almost, we're like you always say, we're getting to North Korea. We're getting there. A couple more steps and we'll be there.
Anything else you'd like to add, sir?
I would just like to say thank you for the opportunity, and it was great finally being on the show. I've been calling in every day for months now. Finally, it's good to finally get through.
Well, God bless you, and thanks for putting up with me. Doug, we're going to break here in a moment. I'll be stay a little bit longer, but I mean, is there any way to avert this? It's clear they create crises, order out of chaos, problem, reaction, solution. They want to start a civil war. How do we stop it?
Well, aside from what we're doing informing the populace, there's one way, and I'm not sure if it could be pulled off, Alex, and that is stop feeding the beast. What people in Poland did, they stopped working. They stopped paying taxes. And I think that would, of anything, that would get the...
That's it. That hit me last night. I mean, we all know this, but it hit me last night. We all of us have to stop non-compliance any way we can. I agree. It is, and not just money-wise, but verbally, give it no support. You see what I'm saying?
That's right. You got it.
Stay there for a moment. You heard the police officer. You say something pro-Second Amendment, you're suspended without pay. You see how they're a bunch of authoritarians censoring everybody. Use the internet while we've still got it, ladies and gentlemen. History is repeating itself right now. And you better get angry and you better get motivated, because the globalists believe the time to drop the hammer is now. Let's go ahead and go back to Mr. Hagmann of the Northeast Intelligence Network and give out your website for folks as well, sir. I agree with you. It is time to absolutely make this everybody's full-time job. People think of fighting tyranny as work. It's survival. It's an instinct to get your hackles up about this. I mean, these globalists are as nasty as they come. Doug, are you seeing it wake people up that they admit in the New York Times our government now runs al-Qaeda? I mean, does that not give credibility to the things I've always broke down, that it's a synthetic terror group they control because it's not our government? I mean, they're now announcing world government everywhere. What about the feds, you know? I mean, are they going to go along with this?
Well, great questions. First of all, let me say this. I probably could be the barometer of the average person, 30 years as an investigator, always believing that things are just the way they are, listening to you and not really hearing your message. And then suddenly, well, not suddenly, but incrementally over the years, waking up and realizing, hey, we're living one big lie. And then once you hit that realization, then you see how society is broken down into people who are just stuck in that normalcy bias and think everything is normal, or that don't want to deal with it. And then the other side of that are the people that are saying, you know what, Alex Jones, he's right. He's been right. And I'm one of those people who took a long time to wake up. But now once awake, it is our duty, I believe, now to not only inform and educate others, but to pick a side, to work a plan, to get a plan and work a plan to fight this tyranny, to join ranks. I mean, Alex, I'll tell you what, everywhere I go, I mention InfoWars and I promote your information because you have been right all along. It's just a matter of maturity. intellectually. Not that you need my endorsement, but
listen, but yeah, I just want to get our freedom back. I wish I was wrong. You know, it's a very sick feeling to study history, to see it repeating and to be right. It's like walking outside and seeing the sunrise and saying, there's a sunrise. It's not hard. It's frustrating now that it's all coming true. I mean, and it's like people better... What about the feds you talk to? I mean, is there nothing they're not going to go along with?
No, they're split. Like society, I mean, the people that I talk to are God-fearing men who understand what's happening, who for reasons, including attempting to throw the fly in the ointment themselves when the time comes, are not revealing themselves. You know, people ask, well, why don't they come forward? Well, because they're attempting to do a job themselves. But they're a segment of society, a picture of society, a microcosm, if you will. Yeah, there's a difference of opinion. There are some that will take on the American people, will do what they're told.
Sure, sure. What about the billing of him as Lincoln and he will crush the states? I mean, they've had this plan for a while. This is incredible.
Yeah, exactly. See, and people are just... And here's the thing, I guess, in a nutshell. This has been going on for decades. We are now seeing the actual hubris and seeing everything play out right now.
We're seeing the end game. We're seeing the end game. Fire out your website. We'll have to have you pop back in tomorrow if you can. Fire out your website.
It's HomelandSecurityUS.com and CanadaFreePress.com.
All right. God bless you, my friend. We're out of time. Let me talk to you right now and try to set you up for an update with myself and Mike Adams, who's sitting in most of the show, but I'll be in studio with him as well. Tomorrow, Nightly News tonight, I'll have a special report. Within that, I'll be doing that tonight, 7 o'clock, Central, PrisonPlanet.tv.